A big part of success depends on our ability to understand and manage our emotions. They can energize and keep us focused on what we want. They can drag us down into feelings of hopelessness. They can distract us to things that don't matter or might go wrong. Emotions can also drive us to say or do things that are harmful, getting us into even deeper trouble. In Learning Power, we teach students how to observe, name, and understand their emotions by using a simple color code for the primary attitudes we all have. Green represents feelings of happiness and confidence. Blue represents sadness and disappointment. Yellow stands for feeling afraid and anxious. Finally, red represents anger and frustration. Even though we commonly regard 3 of these primary attitudes as negative, it's important to help students understand that each attitude is part of a healthy emotional life. The Time Management Quadrant tool of Stephen Covey offers a good place to step into this competency of creative thinking, as it helps us make distinctions among the things that need immediate attention, everyday unexpected things that can distract us and slow us down, the many time wasters that pull opportunities down the drain, and those things that contribute most to the quality and direction of our life. When we talk about creativity and creative thinking, it's very important that students understand this as referring to the dedication of time, energy, talent, skills, intelligence, and resources to what brings us enjoyment, meaning, success, and fulfillment in life. In other words, being creative and thinking creatively are not mere side interests or weekend hobbies that we get to in our spare time. Human beings are creative agents. That is to say, we are continuously creating our lives by the energy we harness, the connections we cultivate, the beliefs we hold, and the choices that channel our influence into the world. The problem is that a major part of our influence runs along grooves of habit and automatic behavior. In something called the habit loop, a stimulus triggers this unthinking behavior by bypassing the brain's prefrontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for voluntary, deliberate, and strategic thinking. In effect, the prefrontal lobe is put in a trance. Once the supervising brain has been hypnotized, the habit loop can proceed along its routine, this well-worn groove of automatic behavior. It's really not that diabolical, since the formation of habits is an important way the brain conserves energy and liberates attention for other things. Problems arise, however, when the habituated behavior is no longer relevant or effective, or worse, when it has become maladaptive and counterproductive to the life we really want. The creative thinking competency in Learning Power is about helping students break the trance and live their lives less at the mercy of external triggers and more devoted to things that really matter. Instead of habit loops, we want to help them make creative leaps into more intentional behavior. Such creative thinking involves steps, which we will unpack in the rest of this setup video. These steps are 1. Staying true to your values, 2. Considering alternative scenarios, and 3. Working out a successful strategy. Whenever we find ourselves at that proverbial fork in the road, we need to make a choice as to which option to take or which direction to go. Just following the lead of our strongest impulse, or going along with the crowd, or randomly flipping a coin are not very often reliable guides. Right away, we need to check our options against the set of ethical values we want to honor in all that we do. Compromising or temporarily setting aside our values may result in a short-term payoff, but the consequence it will likely have on our self-esteem and our quality of life is not what we want. It helps if you can pause to predict or imagine where the various options might lead. Pretending as if you are choosing one alternative or another, you can play out the scenarios in your mind and anticipate what will come. A key to scenario thinking is to keep your options in close contact with reality. Playing out an option that breaks completely from the momentum of events and current conditions might be a delightful exercise in fantasy making, but it's not likely to clarify your next step. We'll learn more about this when we come to some resources and suggestions for working with students, but working with stories can be a very effective way of strengthening scenario thinking. While scenario thinking activates the right brain in conjuring up visions of alternative scenarios, Strategic thinking adds the talents of the left brain in working out a plan for goal achievement. As explained in the Learning Power setup video for the motivation competency, an effective strategy requires the careful balance of 4 factors: the goal, or desired outcome; risk, which is the probability of failure; cost, referring to value sacrificed for the sake of the goal; and work, which is the effort or strain it will take to reach the goal. As strategic thinking considers the balance of these 4 factors, it is important to keep the goal in view. Otherwise, any of these other factors, risk, cost, or work, might easily pull focus away from what you really want and suck you down into a negative attitude. Learning Power offers a helpful tool for managing this balance of factors and keeping you oriented on your desired outcome in the decision calculator. Because emotions can interfere with and confuse the process of making good decisions, the calculator slows the process down so you can treat each factor separately. You simply post the choice you're considering as if you're committing to it, and then proceed to ask some simple questions. The plus sign stands for what you expect to gain by taking this option. The minus sign stands for what you will likely lose or have to give up. The multiplication sign stands for the chance it won't go as planned. And the division sign stands for the degree of difficulty involved. As a rule, an increase in effort and strain will have the effect of dividing or breaking down the value of your anticipated reward. The decision calculator builds emotional intelligence by providing a rational tool that serves to keep the focus of interest, passion, and aspiration on a desired outcome. So let's talk about some things you can do with students to build their creative thinking. As we have found in the other Learning Power competencies, stories offer the perfect medium for working with emotional intelligence. As a story is being read, you can pause the narrative and invite listeners to imagine or predict alternative directions the storyline might go from there. Challenge the students to develop the current plot in different possible directions rather than departing into flights of disconnected fantasy. Then pick up where you left off and see where the story goes. A more practical activity involves current events in the lives of the students themselves, for instance, where they might be experiencing some tension in a friendship, a challenge at home, or a difficult choice they are facing. Invite the student to describe the fork in the road with as little detail as necessary and no personal names, and then create alternative scenarios for how the situation could go. Is there a preferred outcome for the student? You can also present the 5 buckets of learning power, representing the 5 value spheres all students live in: health and fitness, friends and fun, talents and dreams, school and study, home and family. Invite students to pick a bucket and think about what they really want to experience or achieve in that area of their life. This can be a great segue into activities of goal setting and time management. Next, you can take the identified goal, or option being considered, and guide the student through the decision calculator, inviting him or her through a careful consideration of what achieving the goal will gain, how much it will cost, what risk factors need to be managed, and how much effort it will likely require. Remind the student how important it is to stay true to the values that respect others, protect relationships, strengthen character, and add meaning to life.